Look does not matter what you have inside yourself or what you are. It's matter that what you will do for others and for all the human civilizations. Remember, we all are in crisis. It is not one individual facing the same crisis. So what we can do? We can bring some changes in our mind, in our behavior, in our society, in our nature, so we can survive. Nature is already changing by its own way. Now is the time to bring change in ourselves. Before this theory, I am Viyet. I have again one message, and that message is we have different beliefs, we have different cultures, we have lot of religions and others' lives and their faith on gods. We have different looks also, but those looks, those differences are basically there is a reason and purpose to create by God. And every look is matter. And remember, look does not recognize that what you have inside yourself. We must give respect to every single individuals, their beliefs and their faith. There is no place for one individual. It's the place for every single differentiations. In your life and in your body, there's an ultimate things is called DNA, and it is the arrangement of different kind of molecules. The God create everything is so colorful and so differentiations in our life. How we can maintain all these differences and differentiations in our life to create the better future. That exactly this theory will teach you. My every creations is a mystery, so maybe it will be difficult to understand for all, but remember, this message is not just for one individual, it's for all the scientists who are working so hard to invent something to recognize the future, the better hope for our world. And my theory will give the same message to you all. Today, again, I want to say one thing for you all, that looks does not matter and looks does not recognize what you have inside yourself and what you are. Thank you very much.
Today, the topic is how we can survive in this crisis time. The crisis is not just suddenly come. Long journey we had a lot of mistake, or we are not supposed to adapt ourselves with a lot of situations. We did many wrong things. We just focus on something which was not supposed to so important in our life, and that is why today we are suffering much more. Maybe we never had expectation. So the theory you will know, and I will discuss here thoroughly by all the changes, by discussion, and at the end of this all the definition of all the changes and understanding, you will know what is exactly Viyet modification theory. So this is just a beginning. So now you will know all the changes accordingly and serially. You are seeing the natural changes, right? That the basically the climate change we say, but when I'm talking about natural changes, it is not just climate change, it is also the changes in every single natural things. I mean the changes into the different kind of lives, like pathogens, like birds, like insect, like human being, like other animals. Because when nature change its climates and temperature and it's all the things, other lives are living on the earth, they are also changing their various kind of movements, right? So that is also you have to understand, and that is very important. So natural changes is not just talking about the changes related to climate or natural activities like temperature rise, like more rain. Also, it's talking about the peoples we are living in on the earth, and on the earth there are a lot of other lives. They are also changing their activities. Like, if just a small example I can take there, which is very easy to understand for all, that the virus is a living pathogen, right? So based on the temperature and based on the climate change, it's also change its inner structure. And that is why it's when it ultimate changes its inner structure, we call it is a mutation, right? And that's happened from the long era, and then we are here today. That is something different, we don't need to discuss here, we all know it. But so this called natural changes, right? So this, in this video, you just are looking the climate changes happening, the changes which natural activities you can see, but other changes you have to keep in mind, right? That change is talking about. So okay, if you see all this wildfire happening, the heavy rain happening, temperature rise happening, drought happening, and it's also directing that we have to change our many things, not just behaviors. And I think next video will be based on the things which I already talked about, right? The behavior changes which we need to bring. And I think this second video will show you, and you will get understand that what kind of behavior we are holding, and how this behavior change can happen based on the natural changes. Now if you look on this, all the behaviors, mostly there are a lot of other behaviors also, but I try to show all the positive behavior which human carry. Okay, so just look on the behaviors here, you can see, right? We have creative mind behaviors, the person who like to be so creative. We have perfectionist. Perfectionist is sometimes is holding back, because when you try to be more perfect, basically you are putting yourself into the imperfection. Do you know that? When you are so organized, you handle a lot of work in the same time, and when you're active, you always want to jump from one place to another place very fast. Ambitious person is always want to go high and high and high, and consciousness person is always think much deeper than normal person, and curious is something always want to looking, if it is normal, still the person needs to find something better than others, right? That is a logical people always try to join other thing logically. Now those are the basically behaviors, not changes. Now when you holding lot of behavior into yourself, and those basically consider as a behavioral changes. Now you born as a very creative child, but due to the surviving your education, you became illogical. Now you became illogical and creative, then because you have to get a job, so you have to be so active, so you improve your this behavior and you join another positive behavior with you, and it's called active. So when you are joining your all the behaviors with you, and that's called you are getting more behaviors, so your ultimate behaviors which it was earlier, it changed, right? So that is I'm talking about the behavioral change, but here I'm showing just a positive behaviors. So you may you can go to internet and you can come know about more negative behaviors also, but I try to show the positive behaviors to the peoples, because time when we are facing today, and basically I first the video talked about the crisis, right? Natural changes, which basically directing it a lot of crisis. So how you can improve, because this theory is basically the reason by me to show everybody and invented by me to overcome the crisis today we are facing. So that is why I put all the positive behaviors here, so you can adopt and develop all the positive behaviors into yourself. So you have to be survive, because if you don't do that, if not just you, I am talking to 779 point something billions people, right? Internet is not available all of us, we know, but I hope this video will share by many, so common people who even don't and can't access internet, even they can see and they can know. If English is not your language, you don't understand English properly, then you just go to your video, you will understand. Because obviously the scientists, the researcher, they need to understand and they need to listen my language, my words, my communications. But any person, if they look those videos whole, they will understand what exactly the message I want to show them. And the message is that you are basically going through a changing process, and then you develop an ultimate modification into yourself to survive the crisis which today we are facing, or maybe more crises can come. If we don't do that, we will lose the battle, I'm sure for that, and we will lose this fight against the crisis. I'm talking about virus invention is not a crisis. The crisis is not global warming. Crisis is the existence of this civilization. So yes, I think by these videos you understand that how you can develop behavioral changes and what the behaviors you have. And the third changes, right? And the third changes talk about the social changes. Society always talk about the group of peoples, but it directed by one individual. So with the changes coming from individual, but it's impacting group of people, and that's exactly this picture talk about, that how one individual behavior are directing to others. And that is why we can see that how one leader giving a message to the many peoples, and how they are misguiding or maybe sometimes guiding by this particular one person into the one direction. So one changes not just passing to the one person, the changes passing through and going through the billions people, right? It is very important to think that, so when we are a person who holding a lot of changes, we should be so positive, because our change impacting the society, and this society changes are very important to survive when we are in crisis. That is why this picture is indicating that how individual changes impacting society, and how this one individual positiveness can impact to billions as a positive, because we need this. We do not need negativeness, right? So that's exactly this picture, and try to understand it. This message is for all these leaders who try to direct others, and they are directing obviously, so they must direct it into the everybody into the way, so others come forward and they should hold by their own positive behaviors. All right, now coming to the number 4 change, called mental change. It's coming from two sides. One is societal social change, and one is behavioral change. Individual behavior change is bring a new mental mind, and society impact also bring new mind. And the changes in nature and natural activities, that's also impacting our mental mind. So if you can see this video, and you will understand that how these 3 changes are directly impacting in any person's mind. So this in picture is indicating the same thing. Somebody is so much studious and he always think for education. And somebody is like to eat food so much, so it's always think about food. Somebody is always thinking to be rich, and richer is think about wealth. Somebody want to fly into the sky, somebody want to be a great leader, somebody want to love someone. Lot of other mental conditions you can see in this picture, and how those things are changing. Remember, we cannot remove one mental mind, but we can hold all these things, and we need to bring this mental mindset that we are facing changes not just into nature, we are facing changes in our society. We are facing a lot of changes in our behaviors. How one person character are dividing others, how one leader destroying the cultures, how natural calamity impacting our single daily expenses. So that's also matter, and that is why we need to change our mind according to all these three changes, right? And that's exactly this picture talk about. Just look on it for a few times and you will understand, right? So the fifth is ultimate modification. Ultimate modification is the last formation from all the changes which we all the life needs to bring themselves being inside, so they can survive with a lot of changes in the new, you can say, the new society, new natural diversity, new human mind, and all the things will be totally new. So ultimate modifications basically come from when you adopt all the four changes before. From that, you have to bring the natural changes around us, you have to bring behavioral change inside yourself, you have to bring and you have to adapt yourself with the social changes, and then you bring mental changes in your mind to become an ultimate modifier to survive the new situation, new problems, and new crises. Every day never goes the same the way we had earlier. It is a normal science say that every 50 years climate change is the imminent truth we have to face. But how you can survive? We can survive through this changes theory, which known as 5 changes theory. Now we will go to the theory, right? The theory of 5 changes, Viyet modification theory. Okay, and that I will tell very clearly by this picture, you will understand it. Now we come to the ultimate, outcome from all this study, that how this map showing that we have natural changes which directly related to the social changes, being the social activities changes, and then it's come to the ultimate modification. And we have in our mind, we can do it by behavioral change and mental change. Mental change and behavioral change is in our hand. Those two changes are in our hand and directly related to us. And other 3 changes like natural changes, social changes, and ultimate modification changes are not in our hands. So that is why this picture is showing that how they are interconnected, not serially connected, they're interconnected. But when it's come, it will go to the serially, like 5 first natural changes, then it will impact to the behavioral changes, then go to the social changes, then mental changes, then ultimate modification. So the natural calamities, natural changes directly impacting and creating new behaviors among us. and new behavior will create a new culture in the society, which called as the social changes. And those social changes come automatically, the group of peoples or individuals who are living in this society, they will bring some mental changes, and these mental changes direct and create a ultimate modification, not just into our mind, in our society, in our behavior, and in our nature as well. And that is why important, because today we are suffering from the many crises, and those crises not just as a climate crisis, we have economical crisis, we have industrial crisis, we have political crisis, and we have the crisis called ultimate crisis, I mean existence crisis. Is this possible in the futures? It is not just always, we cannot consider that everything will solve by one day and one time. Sometime it can be worst. So we have to prepare ourselves and the more modify ourselves all these situations which may be the imminent for the upcoming times, or may not will come. But if we are prepared, like one concept you must remember, that we know that we don't have disease in ourselves, but still we need vaccine in our body. So vaccination is a process giving before you are getting your disease, right? Same thing, that you have to bring all the changes inside yourself. So even this, there is no crisis, even we are not facing the ultimate crisis, but we can survive in any time, because we are proved ourselves and we are so strong, because we already did all the changes which you need to do. So that is exactly theory. For more, you obviously have to contact and Viyet@aol.com. Thank you very much.